What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to talk about Splitgate 2. Now I know I'm like 3 weeks late with this video. Everybody's already made their Splitgate 2 video probably about 3 weeks ago now, because that's when the alpha was still open. And I know I haven't made a video in like a year, but that's kind of besides the point. And I'm a busy guy, you know, I don't always have the time to make videos. But anyway, in case you didn't already know and maybe you were a Splitgate fan before, Splitgate 2 is underway and has been for quite a while now. 1047 for the last, I don't know, I want to say 7-8 months has been opening up the alpha for the public to play. And recently, about 3 weeks ago now, the alpha closed for the last time. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't play Splitgate 2 early anymore. Also, with the alpha closing, they announced that the beta would be opening sometime soon here. I actually forgot when that was, but if you want some early access, whatever accessories that they're doing, you still have all of the beta to get some early access bling. But I want to talk about playing Splitgate 2 and how it was, how it felt, everything like that, what I liked and what I disliked. Now keep in mind, Splitgate 2, the alpha at least, we were told by the devs, is basically a little less than half of what Splitgate 2 is going to be. Even with that though, the open alpha felt like a really solid game, but of course it was just lacking content. Like for quick play there was only 3 maps that it would cycle through, and other little things like that. I will start off by saying though, I really liked it. For the most part, it felt complete. Studios nowadays just aren't optimizing their games well at all for PC, especially competitive games, which just doesn't make any sense to me. But something that I am so happy about, and something I have been hoping for so much with Splitgate 2, is that it actually performs well, and I can tell you that it does. Consistently, in-game I was getting 180 to 190 FPS, and I turned all of my settings down to low or off, but I didn't even really need to. When I first booted the game, it started me out at a mixture between high and ultra settings, and it was really smooth. There was, at least I didn't have any hitching issues at all. The game was super solid. The art style has kind of had a drastic change, but you can still see the influence of Splitgate in there. Me personally, I'd say that I probably like the look of the original Splitgate a little bit more. I think the integration of different operators with different abilities was kind of a nice add to Splitgate. I think it adds a little bit more to the game, but doesn't make it, you know, it's not making it super complex. In my opinion, they're all really cool. I actually just looked it up. They're called factions. There's Eros, Meridian, and Sabrask. And with these, there's multiple things with these different factions. Of course, most notably, they've got different abilities. For Sabrask, you have the Smart Wall, which is a transparent barrier that your teammates and you can shoot through, but enemies can't. Meridian has Hypersight, which briefly shows enemies through walls for your entire team. And then Eros has Rush, which is just a thing where he gets like a temporary speed and movement boost. Besides their abilities though, they all have weapons in common, and weapons that are, I guess you could say technically in common, but are really more unique to each faction. Like for example, all 3 factions have a shotgun, but Meridian's shotgun is a charged shotgun, meanwhile Sabrask's shotgun is a more heavy-hitting pump, and I would imagine Eros' shotgun being like a higher fire rate because that just suits what he's supposed to be. And so that's just an example of how their weapons are, is like they all have weapons in common, and then weapons that are kind of unique to each faction that each faction has, but operate in a different way. What's really cool about having all these different weapons is that you can create different loadouts, and this is something that I actually wanted in Splitgate. And then of course, besides those weapons that you can make loadouts with, there are still the power weapons. So for example, we still have the BFG is in Splitgate 2. We have the sniper, which is now called the deadbolt. Another thing really cool with the weapons is that there are weapon attachments now, and they're kind of like, from my experience with them, they feel more like Black Ops 2 type weapon attachments. You don't really notice them that much, which can be perceived as a good thing or a bad thing. In my opinion, I feel like they didn't really do as much as I would have wanted them to. Like, I didn't really notice when I was using weapon attachments. Even when I had, like, magazine extensions, I didn't even really notice it. I will say I do wish that I got more playtime with Splitgate 2 while the alpha was still open, because there are some things that I didn't quite like about it that I think maybe I just needed more playtime to figure out. The big thing for me specifically, especially being a controller player, was like the aiming mechanic. The controller settings in Splitgate 2 are a lot more not a lot more, but it's more intuitive than the original Splitgate. It's more like newer competitive games. And for that reason, of course, it was a little confusing, because even I still don't know what all these different dead zone settings are supposed to be and stuff like that, as well as the way sensitivity is measured in Splitgate 2 is different than the original Splitgate, so I can't really use my original Splitgate settings as a reference for Splitgate 2, which I really like my original Splitgate settings. They're really good. I'm thinking though, with Splitgate 2, I'm going to be going for a more slower linear sensitivity. I spent most of the time that I played Splitgate 2 just trying to figure out my sensitivity, and I don't think I have yet. And of course, this may just be me, and this may just be because I'm still figuring out my settings. The aiming didn't really feel like a precision game. It felt more arcade-like, and it felt more cartoony, if that makes sense. But I think that may just be a me thing though, and that may just be me needing to figure out like what my sensitivity is going to be for Splitgate 2. Another thing I'm not really a fan of is, like, the game is super fast paced, which is fine, but there were just some things about it which kind of felt like it destroyed the momentum. Portals feel slower than the portals in original Splitgate, and after the alpha for Splitgate 2 closed, I went to Splitgate and started playing again, mainly just because I still wanted to play a shooter with portals, but also because I just wanted to compare the two. And it just felt in Splitgate 2 like the portals were slower, like it took longer to place portals, as well as the weapon pullout animations just take way too long in my opinion. Switching back and forth between weapons is an absolute pain in Splitgate 2. It kind of felt like Apex, where it's like you put an entire magazine into someone and then you have to swap weapons, and so there's just that awkward part in the fight where you're both swapping weapons and then go back to shooting each other. Really weird. I'm not a big fan of it. That is one thing that I do think, having played Splitgate 2 and Splitgate really close to each other, is something that I noticed, is that in Splitgate, weapon pullout animations were a lot quicker. I haven't watched any other videos on people's first impressions of Splitgate, so I don't really know what other people are saying, and maybe I'm wrong about some of these things. Maybe I do just need to play more. Maybe the next time I play, when the beta comes out, I'll be like, oh no, actually portals are fine, actually this is fine, this is actually different than I remember. But I just feel like I played long enough to get a good impression of the game. I played for like 6 or 7 hours, so I feel like I played long enough to formulate an opinion. All in all though, I really like Splitgate 2, and I can't wait for the beta to come out. I hope the beta is like Splitgate's beta, where it's always open. I really want to figure out some of these things, like my sensitivity, and I the next time I play, want to see if I still maintain the same opinions that I have about Splitgate 2 now. maybe some of those things will change with the beta. I don't really expect the feel of the game to change. Honestly, the feel of the game right now isn't that bad. If the portals are slower, I can get used to that, and I can get used to how the weapons work. I can get used to the slower pullout time. It's fine. I really do though want to get back on the game to just figure out my sensitivity and play it again, because it was fun. Like, I enjoyed myself playing it. I just looked it up. The Splitgate 2 beta is opening in May, so save both the beta and the full game to your Steam library, so when they release you can play them, because I definitely recommend them. I'm really hoping that with what they add to the game doesn't really affect the performance of the game. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please hit that like button and also hit that subscribe button while you're down there, and hit that bell so you get notified when I make other videos. Chances are this is not going to be my last video on Splitgate. When the beta comes out, I'm probably gonna make a video on it. When the full game releases, I'm probably gonna make a video on it. And if you don't want to miss those, you know, subscribe and be notified. I hope that you enjoyed today's video, or that you learned something from today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Consider backup. Your teammate is going for a capture.